Yeah, just that balance of not forgetting about living in the now. If the goalpost is always, okay, in 10 years, when I retire, then I get to do X, Y, and Z. When I retire, then I'll be happy. Then I'll have this hobby. I just always have the perspective of, you don't know how many more years you have. I'm not trying to be morbid. It's just reality. And so I just didn't want the focus to be too much on the future and have that balance. Like, you need to plan and save for your future, but you also have to enjoy right now.
Investing for retirement takes time, patience, and consistency. Eventually, you'll hit a point where you don't need to contribute any more money to hit your retirement goals, and that's what we call Coast Fire. On our Coast Fire segment today, we're going to interview Cory and Cassie Jenks from Tucson, Arizona. They hit this Coast Fire milestone in their mid-30s. Today, we're going to learn how they accomplished this family financial goal and how this affects their journey going forward. Welcome to the show, Cory and Cassie.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. We're excited to be here.
I'm so glad you two could make it here and share this inspiring story and be transparent so everybody knows how you did it. So thank you so much. What we're going to start off with is the Coast Fire 5. These are quick, short answers so people understand a bit more about your Coast Fire journey. And we'll start off with question number 1. How much do you have invested for retirement today?
We have, give or take, $950,000 between 401k, TSP, IRAs, Roth IRAs, HSA.
That's incredible. Wow. Very cool. And you guys are, if we could repeat your ages for today, that would be helpful for our question 2.
I'll make her go first.
I am 37, about to be 38 this month.
Yeah, I'm a fresh 37, so a bit of a cougar here. But yeah, so we'll just say 37.
I love it. Okay. So you guys are at 37. You got $950 and you're invested for retirement. That's awesome. So question number 3, based on your Coast Fire calculations, how much will you have in retirement if you don't contribute anything else going forward?
Well, I did a little range here to, being conservative to more I guess, positive thinking. But at like 5%, we have about 2.6 million. And if at 7%, we're looking at like 3.9 million. So the power of compounding in time can really play a huge difference, but anywhere in that range is pretty cool for us. So
I like how you did it with the range, Cory, because I know a lot of people get stuck on certain numbers and that could make them feel like, this is ridiculous. That's too high or too low. So the range is a nice thing to do. It also helps you feel a little bit more comfortable in the process. So how much income would this potentially provide you in retirement?
Anywhere from $105,000 to $156,000, in our currently in our current 2024 dollars. So that's just
right.
What I did a little 4% rule there to account for that range.
I love that. And then I guess the final question here for a Coast Fire 5 then is, how much income do you need to live comfortably today?
We are anywhere with comfortably is all relative, I guess. We
comfortable is different. It's for you.
Yeah, 75 to 85,000 is like our range right now, and that includes like our largest line item is daycare and food. And we have 3 kids under 6. And the fact that the food's one of the largest line items makes us cry at night. But, if we needed to dial back some on that, we could. This is a very comfortable living for our lifestyle.
I love that. Well, thank you very much for sharing your details and helping people understand where you are with your journey. Now that we know your numbers and your situation, let's talk a little bit about how you guys got started and your initial motivation for investing.
Yeah. Why don't you give an answer, hon? I've been doing all the yapping of numbers.
Let's see. Well, it started with the internet wormhole Cory went on, discovering the idea of fire. And then we started tracking everything we were spending, and we realized, wow, like we make a okay amount of money. Where's it all going? So really just taking a look at being thoughtful about where you're spending. It doesn't mean you can't spend, but there's so many places where you can have the same satisfaction in life with spending less. And so that was really our start of our journey. And we really focused on flipping those ratios, spending less and saving a lot more. Thankfully, earlier on, reflecting back, it would have been great if we started even younger. But of course, everybody has that wish of hindsight. And then from there, we just kind of kept that course. We were really committed to making sure we front loaded our retirement savings and
yeah. And I mean, along the way, we didn't live a miserly life. We did a lot of traveling. We turned, doing the math, we turned 30 in 2016. We took a ton of trips. We went and saw the Cubs play in the World Series. Like, we were having a great life, and then we had kids.
Yeah.
It's still a great life. It's a different life, and so part of that, yeah. I mean, it's marriage, kids, and money. So we have, our family listeners here. We get it. We love them, but they're work and they cost money. But I think a big part of that, continuing that journey is that realization that time is finite. And so with the idea of Coast Fire, like we were hardcore. I was like hardcore fire, and then you realize like this is a long journey if you want to go this route and retire by 40, 42, 43. And by that time, our kids will be older and hormonal teenagers and won't really want to hang out with us. So what could we do to spend that time with them, right now?
I love that. So that was the initial motivation, having a little bit more free time and spending it with family. What are you guys doing for work right now? And was that part of the motivation as well to move towards work that you maybe enjoy more? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'm a nurse practitioner, and because we could take a little bit more, I don't even want to say financial risk, but we didn't have to make optimizing income the number one priority. Once we front loaded our savings, I was able to switch from a traditional clinic job where I'm locked into appointments and a rigid schedule to I do work now for a company called Verta, and I get to provide care more asynchronously with a lot of flexibility. And it's a pretty cool job that I don't think I would have felt comfortable leaving I worked for the VA previously, so I had a nice stable government job, and I moved over to a tech startup healthcare company. So that was, a little bit of a risk there that I felt really comfortable taking, knowing that we had a nice nest egg to cushion us.
Yeah. And I'm a drug dealer. Sorry, I'm a pharmacist. And so I was also with a nice cushy government job. Not cushy. I mean, healthcare is stressful. Like being in a clinic is stressful, like what I was doing. And I was able in September of 2022 cut to part-time in the private sector now. So I also left my government job, our government pensions behind, which is sort of unconventional, but we hit that comfortable place where we felt like we could do this. And so, with that part-time role, I hang out with the kids, 1 or 2 days a week. And then I have my little side hustle that we'll probably touch on here at the end as well. So I think what Cassie said is when you look at that number, my little sticky note there, I cheated everybody. I was looking at a piece of paper. I didn't commit it all to memory. You look at that number and realize, okay, if something happened and we couldn't save for retirement, we'll be okay in 21, 22, 25 years. So it provides, I think, the freedom of time and then the freedom of taking some risks and having options.
Yeah, I love that. That is, you said it all right there. Absolutely. Can you talk to us about the specifics a little bit when people say this amount of money, $950,000? What does this consist of? Is this, you said 401ks, other things like that. Talk to us about the details there.
Yeah, so we were with the government for a number of years. So the government version of a 401k is your thrift savings plan, or TSP. So majority is in the TSP, and then we both have 401ks now that we're in the private sector, and then we also have Roth IRAs. So it's throughout there. We have a little HSA, and then they're invested in broad like S&P 500 total stock market funds. Like we don't pick stocks. We don't have time for that. I had to write down like how much we had for save retirement. I don't have time to look up stocks. So the lazy way, I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably heard of The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. But I mean, honestly, it can be, we're two people that worked in healthcare and we had a financial advisor, and like we memorize drugs and we take care of sick people, and we're like, we don't know how to do money. And then I read this book. I'm like, I think we could do money. So we ditched the financial advisor and just put everything in the broad market index fund and let it ride, and don't really pay that much attention to the stock market. Like when it goes down, I like shrug my shoulders because we're fortunately 20 plus years away. And when it goes up, it's like, it's cool, but we'll see where it goes. So
I love that. Yeah. The fact that you brought up JL Collins, I think there's a reason that the algorithm on YouTube has made my interviews with him just jump up, because it's the simple path that people are looking for. And it just makes the process so much easier. So I'm glad you gave him a shout out. Now, you guys shared these numbers at the beginning of our conversation, and you're on this path towards, you said 2.6 to 3.9 million without any further contributions. Has this realization of Coast Fire changed the amount that you're contributing towards retirement going forward?
If you would ask her, like, she would say begrudgingly yes.
I think I was quicker to jump on the Coast mindset, not because Cory doesn't value our children, but he's a little bit more focused on the numbers and the commitment to a certain path. And I'm a little bit less committed and more saying, I want to be with our babies now because pretty soon they're going to be 16 and smell bad and not want to hang out with us. So
I mean, they're young and they smell.
They
bad
already
now,
smell bad now, but they do want to snuggle, and it's beautiful.
Different smells.
Yeah. So I think I was quicker to jump on board with that, realizing, okay, if we don't max our Roth 1 year, it's okay. Like, it's hard to let go of that. But when you scale back and look at the big picture, that's not going to be that big of a hit to our retirement finances. But it does matter for this moment right now when our children are young. So just giving yourself some room to feel comfortable not saving. Now, that being said, we do still save. And sometimes, at the end of the month, you end up with a little more cash than you planned if you spend less or have some windfalls, since we have more variable income now with what Cory's doing. So, it's not that we're not saving, but you let go of that need to have to hit a certain number.
Yeah. Like I get a match from my employer. I'm not leaving free money on the table. Like our little discussion at the beginning of the year was like, let's at least max our Roth IRAs and get my employee match. And she has an HSA through her employer. Like, these are great, tax advantage things we could do, both now and for taxes for the future. If we are living a life that we're having fun, we're comfortable, we're doing the things we want with our kids, and we're still saving some, like, that's cool. I think that, with FIRE, you can go either way. I think if you have more resources, you can do more. So when we're old, if we have more, we can do more for our family, our friends. And then the Dive with Zero book that you've discussed on your podcast too was like a big turning point for us in this decision as well. So, that letting go and living now while we're relatively young and relatively healthy, it all factors in. But if we have some free money on the table, we'll take it. Like, I'm not going to say no to that, but if it means we save a little less and we are able to, we indulge ourselves with, kids sports and things like that. Okay, cool. We're enjoying that now.
I love that. Yeah, I think this is a good book club conversation here, because I think the combination of The Simple Path to Wealth and Die with Zero, there's no joke that I've got these two books right behind me on my bookshelf that makes a big difference in these types of conversations, especially around Coast Fire. Now, there's somebody out there listening, and Cory, I'm gonna speak to you on this one. They're thinking that Coast Fire is just sort of this, softer version of FIRE, and it doesn't really count as financial independence, and people shouldn't really be pursuing Coast Fire as their ultimate goal. What would you say to that person?
I don't know. Why do I care what strangers on the internet think? Like, if you find something that works for you, then do it. I think that we have to be honest with your audience. Like, we work in healthcare. Our financial shovels have been big at the beginning of our career, so we were able to front load with a lot more than, my parents were both teachers, her father was in the military. They didn't have the privilege of income that we've been able to do. If some other flavor of FIRE works for you, great. If YOLO, burn it down, live in debt makes you happy, like, who am I to judge you? Like, it's your life. But I think Coast Fire for us was a beautiful balance of that. We're two people that we're a very good match, and I'm very lucky to have married Cassie. But like, we push each other to make each other better. And one thing that the financial advisor that we eventually fired did do for us was lay out if you do 5 years of saving X amount, by the time you're 65, you'll have this. If you just decide to wait, you'll have to do this much. And every time we meet with him, he's like, "Oh, you guys are actually doing it." I'm like, "Yeah, well, it's the plan." It's that pharmacist brain in me. Like, it's the thing we're going to do, so we do it. So it all depends on your personality, your risk tolerance, your income, where you're at in life, kids. Like, there's people have all sorts of different challenges and incomes. Coast Fire is a great balance. And then, when you hit that place, you can let off the gas a bit. And if you're on the internet and you think it's stupid, let me know, I guess, or don't.
Or don't.
It's the nature of the internet. You can not like this. It's okay. But we like it and we're happy, and it's worked for us.
And maybe like labels aside, if there's pushback, well, it's not really FIRE. Like, you're right, I'm not retired. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But it's never bad to save more early. That compounding works in your favor. So we'll call it what you want to call it. The more you save earlier, the better. Yeah.
When you can make that hay when the sun is shining earlier in your career, and you don't have kids and the other obligations of, to steal a term from the Money Guy show, the messy middle, do it. And now we're in the messy middle, and we can focus on the crazy sides pulling at us from the younger and the older.
I love that. Yeah. So Cassie, when some conversations started to happen around Coast Fire, Or originally, when Cory got excited about FIRE in general, you go online, you Google FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, you get super excited about it. What about the conversation around Coast FIRE made you feel a little bit more excited about that than the traditional FIRE? Can you talk to us about your thoughts around that?
Yeah, just that balance of not forgetting about living in the now. You know, if the goalpost is always, okay, in 10 years when I retire, then I get to do X, Y, and Z. When I retire, then I'll be happy. Then I'll have this hobby. I just always have the perspective of, you don't know how many more years you have. I'm not trying to be morbid. It's just reality. And so I just didn't want the focus to be too much on the future, and have that balance. Like, you need to plan and save for your future, but you also have to enjoy right now, because I don't want to save all my money and then, I don't know, get in a tragic car accident and not get to enjoy any of it. Like,
Yeah.
I want to have that balance. And it's not an easy balance, you know, and like Cory said, we're fortunate we've been able to have that balance. And I respect that not everybody gets the same opportunity. But if you have it, then gosh, take it. Like, if you have the chance, be present right now.
Yeah. And I think we can both speak, not to stereotype government workers, but we both work with people that were like, well, 5 more years and I get that full pension, 7 more years they're miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And how much, like, I understand, like, there's a lot of great government FI websites you can go to and look at the value if you work 1 more year, 2 more years. But a lot of people, not a lot, enough people I work with retired and got sick and like died right after they retired, with this like goalpost in mind, and being miserable along the whole journey. Like, their whole life revolved around holidays, vacation, time off, all of the trappings of government work. And government work's important. We loved our work when we worked at the VA. I don't want to like make it sound like we didn't appreciate that, but having your eyes open to what people's lives are like because they're living so far in the future, I think that was a big push towards the Coast FIRE world as well.
I love it. Well, thank you both for sharing your story and your motivations around Coast FIRE. Now, Cory, I understand you have a new book coming out. I want to let you tell us about it and where people might be able to connect with you and learn more about it.
Yeah, thank you. First off, also, thank you for all the content you put out for us. You really, you along with many of the internet providers of financial information have helped us along this journey. So I want to make sure we got the shameless thanks out there. I guess it's not shameless.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So part of what I've been able to do with my part-time work is I'm also an improv comedian. And so I've spent years doing improv comedy. I published my first book a couple of years ago about the application of improv comedy to healthcare, permission to care, building a healthcare world that thrives in chaos. But I have a new book because I'm a newish dad, and it's called I Guess I'm a Dad Now, a humorous handbook for newish dads who don't want to suck. And it's really geared for those in the contemplation up to like 5 and 6 years old phase of fatherhood. And it's coming out on Mother's Day. So the best gift you can give mom is to be a great dad. So there's a joke in everything I do. And so if you just go to CoryJenks.com, CoryJenks.com, you're going to be able to find the information there. Depending on when this podcast goes out, pre-order should launch mid-late March. And I have some really cool goodies on the website there for pre-order. Thank you for the plug. I'm excited about it. A lot of, those Thursdays and Tuesdays off with my kids, it just allowed me the chance to observe and have some inspiration and write another book. So
absolutely.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. Great content opportunities when you hang out with those kids, right?
It never ends. It's an endless gold mine.
No, it doesn't. Absolutely. Well, everybody, if you chuckled a little bit by having this conversation with Cory, check out his book, absolutely, and get some perspective on new parenting, as well as some people who are living the life of what Coast FIRE means in being present and putting family time first. Cory and Cassie, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being a part of this community, as we talked about.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, if you were inspired by that conversation with Cassie and Cory, and you want to know how close you are to Coast FIRE, check out our free Coast FIRE calculator. Yes, you can access that through the links below and check out how close you are to Coast FIRE, or maybe you've already hit Coast FIRE like Cory and Cassie.